Oops. If you're seeing this, you're catching the replay, so drop a replay in the comments for me. I was yawning right as I hit the go live button. It hit me. I was like, oh, well then, here we go. Welcome, welcome, welcome to Vortex. Okay, I did put some I'm in graphics up in the group just a little bit ago. So if it feels aligned, go ahead and share those I'm in graphics to your Instagram stories, to your Facebook stories, to your Instagram feed, to your Facebook feed. And if you would like to be entered in the drawing, please tag me. Otherwise, I cannot promise that you'll be entered into the drawing. And I forgot my second phone. So let me get us pulled up on my computer because Facebook is so hit or miss of whether comments are going to work or not. And I love being able to interact with you all in the comments section. So let's get that fixed here for us. I see Diane. I see, let's see here, I see Alex, I see Holly, I see Amy, I see Lacey. Woohoo! I see Ashley. Awesome. Okay, let me get us pulled up so that I can continue to talk to you in the comments. We have a lot today, like a lot in a good way, but I also only have an hour. So here's hoping that I can get given to you what I need to get given to you in an hour. Let's see here. Nope, that's not what I want. Okay, there we go. Hello, Amy says, hi, my phone is working today, yay! Holly says, ah, hello, beautiful. Alex is waving. Okay, awesome. So these will be getting put up on the YouTube channel so that if you want to watch on replay or get it in a couple of times, you can do that at like 1.5 speed if you're like me and you're like, yes, please let me watch that again, but just a little bit faster. You can totally do that because we will be getting them up on replay. And they will be in the guides section. I think these typically go into guide 3, but it will be called Vortex, so you'll be able to know for sure that it's Vortex. Let's see here. So, I can see your comments. Please comment as if you are live, even if you are on replay, because comments are my currency and emojis are my love language, and I just got my hair trimmed, so I might be playing with it more than normal. Hi, Stephanie! Hi, Ashley! Yay, 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 yay. Okay. So, this has been percolating for like 6 months. I'd think, hey, that's a great idea. That's going to be my next masterclass. And then it would like leave. Put a butterfly in the comments for me if you have ever heard me teach on ideas being butterflies. Have you ever heard this concept before? And it's not mine. This is not mine. The ideas being butterflies thing. Have you ever heard of ideas being butterflies? So there is this postulation that ideas will come and they will come to you or they will go to, somebody, and they will hang out for a while and they will see if that entity, that person, that being is going to act on that idea or not. And if that being doesn't after a certain amount of time, they go to someone else. How many times have you had an idea for something and shortly, within 6 months or less, you see that somebody else has acted on that idea that you didn't? My mother-in-law tells a story that she had the idea for pants that had zip-offs so that you could have shorts. And it wasn't very long later she started seeing those everywhere. What kind of million or billion even dollar company could she have had if she had acted on that? Who knows? But this is what this felt like, only a little bit different. Alex is raising her hand. Amy's raising her hand. Hi, Krista! Oh, Lacey says, I just made a post about that. That's awesome. Okay, so what this was doing, though, this idea, this vortex concept was doing was it would like come into focus and then it would leave focus and it'd get fuzzy again. And it would come into focus and it would leave focus and get fuzzy again. And I was like, I want to teach on it. And every time I went to try and put it on paper, it was out of focus again. And I was like, it wasn't like it was leaving and going to someone else. It wasn't like the idea came in and dropped in and was solid. like the zipper pants thing, it was like, ooh, Vortex, that's an awesome concept. It's a fuzzy concept. I can't quite wrap my head around it. And so it wasn't like it was leaving and going somewhere else. It wasn't fully formed. It wasn't fully developed. And in some of the storytelling courses that I have taken from my mentors, there are stories that are complete and they're ready to be told. And then there are stories that you're in the middle of and you know it's going to be a good one once it's complete, but you don't know when in quantum it's going to be complete. And so there's some stories that you just wait to tell until you have a complete story. I have a few of those irons in the fire right now of stories that I will tell at some point. They're not complete yet. And that's what this was. It was this concept that would come into focus and then it would get fuzzy again. And it would come into focus and it would get fuzzy again. And I'd be like, oh, that's going to be October's master class. And it's fuzzy again. I don't have it. And so I would teach something else. Like I taught decoding desire in October. And then I would find myself in, Marco with a private client, or in my mastermind with a private client, or on Zoom with a private client. And it would just start pouring out of my mouth, this concept of vortex. Just, this is what you're at. You're in the vortex right now, and blah, 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 blah. Oh, it's back. It's in focus. Yay. That'll be our next masterclass. And I go to write it, and it was fuzzy again. Are you freaking kidding me right now? And so I did this with this concept for like 6 months. And finally it felt concrete enough. And maybe it was just that I had to experience it multiple times. Maybe it was that I needed to explain it to clients multiple times. Maybe it was that they needed to have that aha click multiple times before it was going to be fully formed enough that I could go ahead and bring it. Uh-oh, you can hear my baby, she's sad. That I could go ahead and bring it to all of you and share it with you in its complete form. And it's complete, yes, but I'm open to it growing. And Mindful Motherhood did this to me this week, like amazingly. I thought Mindful Motherhood was going to be mothering by cycle phase, basically what I taught last year, but expanded. And it turned into talking about ourselves in utero. It turned into vision casting. It turned into, we haven't talked about cycle phases at all yet. Like, that's my plan for module 3 on Monday. And also I'm open to it not being. Like, we've talked more about business in Mindful Motherhood than I ever could have guessed. The tagline that came through for the graphics, for the branding, was how a homeschool mom of 4 runs a 6-figure business. And I was like, it's not exactly what it's about, but okay. And then the modules started pouring in and it was like, oh, well, yep, that is actually what this is about. Okay, we're rolling with it. And so I'm open to this masterclass evolving like in the moment as we go. And that's really cool when that happens because it's like pure creator speaking at that moment. So here we go. I do have notes. I will be looking at my notes, and also we're open to anything. Let's see here. Hi, Amanda. Holly says, yes, I designed some beaded hair accessories and I saw them in a magazine weeks later. That's amazing. Casey says, internet's bad at the moment, but she'll be back. Okay, thank you, babe. Hopefully it's not my internet. Is it my internet? You know what? Let me just turn my Wi-Fi. We should have 0 problems. Okay. Here we go. Okay. So let's set this context. Oh, I already set the context. Never mind. So like I said, this was fuzzy and then not, and fuzzy and then not. And there is nothing new under the sun. Solomon told us this thousands of years ago. There is nothing new under the sun. You can find it in Ecclesiastes. Thank you, Amy. And I genuinely believe that there is nothing new under the sun. So you may have heard this concept before, but maybe it wasn't presented as vortex. Or maybe it's completely brand new to you, but to somebody else it's like, yeah, I get that. Like, I don't know why Sarah's so excited about this. So the thing is that we are always a match for what we are not always a match for what is said to us. We are not always a match for what we hear. We are not always a match for what is said that is old under the sun. So that means that maybe you have heard something multiple times over the last year or 5 years or 10 years, and it was yesterday that it clicked for you. Oh, that's what that means. You have to be an energetic match to receive the concept. Whether it's new under the sun, which it's not, or whether it's old under the sun, which it is. You have to be an energetic match to receive the concept. Drop receive concept in the comments for me. So this is why it is very important, the people that you surround yourself with. How many of us, you can raise your hand in the comments, how many of us have heard that you are the culmination of the top 5 people that you hang around with? And you're just going to have to bear with my nasally stuff. I'm still getting over my children's cold. So if you're hanging around with the same 5 people that you were hanging around with 5 years ago, the likelihood of you being an energetic frequency where something is going to make sense all of a sudden to you is very, very little. So if you're in a business development journey, if you're on a personal development journey, if you're on a growth journey, it's important to, on a fairly regular basis, be assessing who you're spending the most of your time with. And the beauty of the internet is that you get to pick basically anybody to spend the majority of your time with. I have people in resonance that are like, guess what I'm doing this weekend? I'm binging Sarah. And we have never met before in our lives. Like, how cool is that? They're choosing to, in person. We have had Zoom calls. We have had conversations like this. But like, how cool is that they are choosing in that moment to spend their time, invest their time, which is the only currency that is non-renewable, with me in their growth journey. Ashley says, me! Yes, exactly. And so I have now become one of the top 5 people that Ashley hangs around with. Somebody else that was previously one of the top 5 is now number 6 and doesn't have as much pull on the things that Ashley is now an energetic match for or is not an energetic match for. So the frequency at which you live makes you available to understand a new concept or unavailable to understand a new concept. And neither of those is right or wrong unless you're like purely stagnant. And even then it's not right or wrong. It's just like, sorry, this is how your life is going to be until you decide to shift something. Holly says stuff from last year is finally settling in for her. Yeah, but Holly keeps showing up. Like, even if it doesn't fully land, she keeps showing up. I may, explain the same concept to her 5 or 6 times, but she keeps showing up. She keeps hearing it. And a little bit farther it clicks, and a little bit farther it clicks, and a little bit farther it clicks, until finally she's jumping in Messenger going, oh my gosh, this makes so much sense! And those moments are freaking exciting. Holly says her top 5 people have definitely changed in the last year. Yeah. And you can see it in Holly. She has definitely changed in the last year. For the better. Ashley says, I find myself hanging around some people that aren't necessarily an energetic match for me anymore, just for the sake of the kids having friends. Just made a huge jump that wouldn't have been possible without you and Xena. Oh, Amy! Yay! That's amazing. Beautiful. Okay, so your ability to be open-minded or not is affected by the frequency that you're currently at or choosing to elevate to. Your level of maturity to have a respectful conversation with somebody and at the end of it agree to disagree and walk away still friends determines what you're available to hear as far as new concepts are concerned. Ultimately, your level of healing determines where you're at and whether you're going to be available to receive a new concept or not, or if something that you've heard for years and years and years will finally click and make sense. So these all affect whether or not you receive that new idea, this new concept that I'm teaching this week. And so I want to just preface this, like this is things that I have to say to open this in order to set the tone, to set the context for you. I have sat in courses with mentors that are light years beyond me, and I missed 80% of what that person was saying. Y'all, I'm a valedictorian, straight A student, exemplary person, like whatever you want to call that from a public school perspective. I'm smart. And I have sat in rooms with mentors that didn't graduate high school going, huh? But I kept listening. I would watch the same training over and over and over again, just trusting that it was doing some sort of rewiring process in my subconscious. And 6 months would go by, I'm like, oh yeah, that makes so much sense, and so said that. Huh, I get it now. So if something I say today is like, huh, I encourage you to catch the replay and the replay and the replay and trust that in your subconscious, something is happening. That's why it goes on YouTube, so that you can catch it at a little bit faster speed, but trust that your subconscious is rewiring. You will have this available for replay through 5 p.m. Eastern on the 15th of February. So you have a week to go through each of these multiple times, okay? And trust that what is needing to happen here is happening. If your conscious brain is going, I don't get it. It's okay. It's okay. Let's see here. So I posted on Monday, your fear is your true north to your healing. Your fear is your true north to your healing. This is an example of what I just said. And a very brave woman, who I actually have the pleasure of knowing in real life, commented and said that she did not understand what I meant by that, but she was open to understanding that. That's the energy I want you to bring to this program. Throw me some lightning bolts if you will agree to bring that attitude, to bring that energy to this program. I don't necessarily understand what you're saying, Sarah, and also I'm open to receiving it. Aim's throwing lightning bolts. Yes, girl. Okay. So, like I said, I may say things that make no sense. Jennifer's throwing lightning bolts. Kelly's throwing lightning bolts. Thank you. Stephanie's throwing lightning bolts. Beautiful. Ashley, yes. Oh, she doesn't have emojis. Okay. Let's see here. So I may say things that make no sense, but I'm going to be fully in my power this week. My power as woman, my power as the divine entity that I have been created to be. The image of Creator. And I'm going to show up fully in my power, and I'm going to speak from the genius in me, and I'm going to trust that the genius in you, something is clicking. Maybe it'll be as fast as I say it, and you're like, yes, 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 yes. And if it's not, trust that something is rewiring in your brain, and keep going. Keep going. Keep going. So I want you to consider the vortex. Like, throw some tornadoes at me in the comments if you have emojis available to you. You should just be able to write tornado, and it'll bring up the emoji for you. It literally means a mass of whirling fluid or air, like a whirlpool or like a tornado. And it starts big at the top, and it gets narrower at the bottom. I need you to imagine with me. We're going to do a lot of imagining today. And it's not necessarily a guided meditation. I do those sometimes in my courses, usually my paid ones, but it's not necessarily a guided meditation. This is more imagination work. So, like, I need you to tap your inner child for me. Drop inner child in the comments for me. I need you to tap your inner child and just have some imagination play with me today. So if closing your eyes is going to feel more beneficial to you so that you're not distracted by what is in front of you, that's fine. But I want this to be playful, like my daughters in their bedroom, being... I played princesses. These girls play lions and wolves, but anyway. Being lions and wolves, and they're in their den, and, they're bringing stuff in their mouths to feed their babies and all of these different pieces. And their eyes are wide open. I want you to play with me today. So I need you to imagine with me the absence of ground in the image of a tornado. So you have a tornado, but there's nothing under it. There's no ground. Or if it's a whirlpool, say in the ocean, like you have this giant whirlpool, and yet there's no end to the water. I'm sorry, there is an end to the water. So there's a point at which it just kind of ends. Sorry. So you have this whirlpool, and there's no ground below it, so there's no end point to it. Or if it's a whirlpool in water, it's this vortex that eventually there's not water. It just cuts off. And this is going to make more sense here in a minute. And then I need you to, it's like, I need you to envision the other side of the vortex. Like, what would you imagine would be there if it wasn't ground? Or if it wasn't endless water? I want you to see a well. So if you think like old school, like wells that people would draw water out of, typically they come up about 4 feet out of the ground, maybe 3 feet. And they're made of stone, and usually there's like flat pavers across the top. Sometimes there's a tree, a hanging tree of some kind, so that you can have a bucket that hangs there. And so I want you to imagine this well, and you can look over into this well, and you can actually see the bottom of it. The water is clear. Like clear, clear, beautifully clear. You can see the bottom. And it looks really close. Have you seen those photos? Like awesomely clear water, and the bottom looks really close, and really it's hundreds of feet deep. Drop hundreds of feet, if you know what I'm talking about. And so you can look down into this well, and you can see the bottom, and it's actually like really shiny. It's really shimmery, almost like gold. Pavers, kind of, at the bottom. It's really shiny, really beautiful, really attractive. And it looks like it's pretty close. But there's no real way of knowing just how deep this well happens to be. And like in dreams, like drop dreams in the comments for me if you understand this concept. Like sometimes in a dream, you just know something. Like nobody told you, you didn't read it anywhere, there was no reason to make you believe something, you just know that there's a person behind the door. Like this happens in dreams. So in this dream, you know that on the other side, like that gold shimmery surface is on the other side of the water. Like the water's not touching that gold shimmery surface. Like you could theoretically dive into this well and eventually reach that gold shimmery surface, and it would be waterless. So like in dreams, you just know that that in the next moment that the water is withheld from the bottom. It's not there. And that something fantastical is there. But the water is standing between you at the top of the well and whatever that fantastical, shimmery world, maybe, is. All that's between you is water. And you look away from the well, and you've got, rolling hills or big mountains, but there's no other, like, ground source of water for you to go try and follow and check out whatever might be there. All you have is this well. And then the water actually starts to spin, like a vortex, like a whirlpool. fine where you are. Like, weather's okay. It's good enough. The food is good enough. You have enough food. You have enough money. You have enough clothes. It's enough. It's enough sun. My health in the current state that it is enough. Have enough vitamins. It's enough. And yet, the bottom of that vortex is very, very appealing. Like, there's nothing that you would really change about the world around you. But you know that if you go in that well, nothing will be the same. But the same isn't that bad around here. However, what could that bottom hold? Is it another world? Is it just the floor of the well? I mean, that could be there. Like, I know, in the way that I know, in imagination or in dreams, that the water doesn't go clear down, but maybe it is just the floor. It's just so beautiful, though. It's so shimmery. And it's unlike anything you've ever seen before. Everything up here at the edge of the well, though, is good. In fact, you've learned a lot recently that has dramatically improved your life. That's great. It would be foolish to step into that well because everything is enough. But the bottom... And you just feel like you should do it. You feel like you should do it. It's intuition. It's a knowing. It's a nudge. And so, you take a deep breath and you step into the whirlpool. The water is a good temperature. Like, it's almost like it's nothing like I've ever felt before. Like, I know I'm wet because I'm wet. And also, it could be that I'm not wet because the temperature is like the perfect me already temperature. It just feels like water. That's the only way that you really know that you're in water. This is cool. And to start with, it's okay. It's different, obviously. It's wet. It's okay. You go farther down the vortex, and it's actually starting to feel a little bit tighter. Like it's squeezing you. Really? It's just water. The well is as big as it was when I got in it. Why is it tighter? It's not a good feeling. And that floor looked really clear and really close, right? But it's taking a lot longer to get to that floor than you ever thought that it was going to take to get there. And it's just getting tighter around you. Like, it's feeling very straitjacket-like now. And that breath I took a long time ago, my lungs are burning. They are on fire. And this thing is constricting. This vortex, this whirlpool is constricting. What were you thinking? Everything was good enough up there. It was fine. You had sunlight. You could breathe. Your clothes weren't wet. And there wasn't a boa constrictor around your entire freaking body. And another tiny one around your lungs. Why in the world did you jump into this stupid well? Everything was good. You had what you wanted. You had food. You had income. You had clothes. What's wrong with you? And and your lungs are just like about to like cave in on themselves because you haven't had a breath in so long. It burns, it hurts. It's not even uncomfortable anymore. It's downright awful. And it's all because you were curious about what could be. Damn that holy curiosity. You were curious about what could be, a different way, a different option. And you're honestly about to black out from lack of oxygen. In fact, you can feel it. Like the edges of your vision, they're starting to get fuzzy. That ringing that can sometimes happen in your ears, you're feeling that. There's oxygen and water, right? If I just fill my lungs with that, it'll be okay. After all, this was pretty dreamlike, so maybe it's just a dream. And if I just, succumb to the unconsciousness, then I'll wake up and it will have been a dream. You're kind of in that blissful in-between of not really caring. Your limbs are heavy now. Like, it'd be fine if I just lost consciousness. And about that moment, BAM! You hit that floor. A jarring jolt. You land on your butt, fall on your side. Refilling your lungs with air. Getting as much in as you can, gulping it down like it's water. Irony, right? Gasping on that beautiful, it is actually golden, floor. You lay there heaving for a while. Getting your bearings, feeling better. You look around. And you can see that water swirling vortex above you. That well was just as big as it was when you got in. Why did it feel like it was crushing you? You can see the blue sky up through it. In fact, the vortex is kind of calming down, like it's becoming that still clear water that you saw to begin with. And wow, I'm actually not wet at all. My hair's dry. How'd that happen? I just came through water. It's like a portal between worlds. And so then you start to take in what is around you. There's a whole world. It's not just like a floor in a room, it's a whole world that you can now see in front of you. And it's brighter here. There's more colors here. It's more brilliant here. And everything is in abundance. There's an abundance of food. There's an abundance of clothing. There's an abundance of health and time. There's an abundance of time. You feel better, actually. Like, you were good enough up there, and also somehow you feel better. Like, did I lose weight in the vortex? No, it didn't squeeze it off of me, and also I feel better. The sun. There's something different about the sun. Like, is it, I don't know, infusing me with vitamin D in a different way? Like, how is the sun different? I've never read Ted Dekker, Laura, so I didn't steal anything, I promise. Everything you thought that you had enough of up there, that it was good enough, has dramatically improved on the other side of that vortex portal. But the middle, oh, that middle. In the middle, you literally thought you were going to die. In fact, You had readied yourself to die, remember? Your vision was getting fuzzy, your limbs were heavy, and it just didn't matter. You were willing to go. Some people call this the void. And it is. But my experience with the void is that I know when I'm in it. The vortex is bigger. It's much bigger than the void. The void feels like a small version. So just like #cycle thinking coach, we have a cycle in a minute, a cycle in an hour, a cycle in 24 hours, a cycle in 7 days, a cycle in 28 days, a cycle in a quarter, a cycle in a year. The void could be that minute to that month mark. Even the quarter. The vortex is bigger. Much bigger. It's bigger like universe. We know we're in a universe because we've been told we're in a universe, but we can't see the universe. I can see the sun, which is a part of this thing we call universe. I can see the moon, which is a part of it. I can see all these stars. Apparently that one's a planet. It's all a part of the universe. And yet I can't see the universe. This is the size of the vortex. And you're always at some point of it. You're always at some point of the vortex. This is why you can't see it. Like when I'm in the void, I know I'm in the void. And when I'm on the other side of the void, I know I'm on the other side of the void. I don't usually see it coming, but when I'm in it, I know it. And when I'm on the other side of it, I know it. But you are always at some point in the vortex. I have not seen Men in Black since I was like 10. So I don't know, Amy, and it scared the crap out of me at that point. Maybe I was 8. Showing you how young I am here. So you're always at some point in it, whether it's looking over the edge of the well, whether it's enjoying your enoughness, whether you're just barely in the water and you're like, oh, this feels nice. I'm wet, and it doesn't really feel like water. Like, I know I'm wet, but the temperature's good. Or whether it's having the last drops of oxygen squeezed out of your lungs. Or landing in the amazingness that being in the whirlpool birthed you into. You're always at some point of the vortex. It's in the middle. It's in the oxygenless point. Oxygenlessness. It's in the lack of air point. It's in that crushing place that trusts the process, like I told you at the beginning of this, is a necessary concept to cling to. Mary's throwing some fire at me. Amy's keeping up with me in the comments. I'm curious if I've lost anybody. Is anyone like, Sarah, you're speaking over my head, and also, you said you would, so I'm here. Is it landing? Have I lost you? Some of you are probably thinking, what does that even mean? Ashley says, I'm a bit lost. Okay, thank you for your bravery and your honesty there, dear. So some of you are probably thinking, what does that even mean? Sarah, I do not get it. So let me give you a real-time example. I learn by examples. In massage school, you could show me how to do a technique. You could even put your hand on top of mine and my hand on somebody's body and try and show me a technique. But if I received the technique, I integrated it like lightning. Like, you come work on my scapula, and I will know exactly how to work on somebody else's scapula, and I can't see it. Congratulations, Ashley and Nathaniel. Woohoo! So we got married, and my financial training was mom hid money under the bed. Grandpa had taught me to have a savings account, and I didn't know what my husband's money was. Like, I didn't know what he knew about money. So we get married, and I knew up front that he had debt, and I did not. I knew that up front. He had a toy hauler, trailer, camper trailer. He had ATVs. He had, like, a credit card he had to do some dental work on. Like, he had quite a bit of debt when we got married. And I knew that going in. I was like, okay, so we pay it off. No big deal. No financial teaching had us on the same page necessarily. We were just kind of like, throw these two people together, bodies slap, and we'll see what happens. And so we're at the top of the whirlpool, if not outside of it already. We're like probably outside of it, to be painfully honest at this point. And we're going through life, and I have a sock drawer fund because mom had money under the bed. And I had a sock drawer fund because there was never money in the account when it was time to pay vehicle tags. I learned that early on. There was never money in the account when it was time to buy pellets once a year. That's our heat source through the winter. There wasn't money in the account when we needed the extra expense of paying for beef processing once a year. Like, so Sarah very quickly had a sock drawer fund so that when these things surprised us, I had money for it. My husband was paid once a month, and I was paid twice a month. So I would grocery shop at the beginning of the month and pay all the bills when he was paid and I was paid. And then when I got paid the second time, I would grocery shop again because whatever I got then was all we were going to have until the first of the month. We're in the whirlpool. And I started to have a lot of anxiety around money because I wanted to save. I wanted to grow a savings account. I was an independent contractor. I knew I needed to be saving for taxes. I found out from Googling it needed to be 30%. If I took 30% out of my check every time I got paid, like, how were we going to make this thing work? And so the anxiety came in, and this is at the crushing point of the vortex of marriage. Like, I can't breathe. And this is kind of like, this was not a whirlpool we necessarily willingly stepped into. We stepped into marriage. I didn't expect the whirlpool. I think that's relatable. And then we were offered to attend a financial program for 12 weeks. I wanted to do it. And my husband's like, 13 years older than you, I know how to handle money. We don't need that. But I'm dying. I can't breathe. This is crushing me. And I didn't know how to communicate that. And the course was $100. We didn't have $100. Except in my sock drawer. So he did go with me to that first course, and I don't know what compelled him to go. Like, he was adamantly against it. He didn't want to go. Thank Creator above that he did come. He loved it. He loved it. That first course, he took off, and he was like this golden child for the next 12 weeks in that class. Like, he created his own budget in spreadsheets. Like, he knew how to do all of these things in Excel. Like, he created this and he created that, and we had like a 7-page budget. Can I run it? No, I cannot run it. He took off. Our debt snowball was fantastic. And there's something else to tell you that happened after the first class. Like, we came home that night and found out something the next day, but that's tomorrow. So come back for tomorrow if you want to know the story that happened the day after that first class. So I paid for it out of the sock drawer fund. But after that first class, the vortex quit crushing us and pop, dropped us on that pretty shiny golden floor that opens up into this whole other world. There's some learning process to happen. There's some difficult pieces of, communication that we weren't taught, how to do the budget, how to make this happen, how to get on the same page with the things that he wants and the things that I want, and how to do it all together at the same time. There's a learning process. But oh boy, was this world so bright and new and beautiful and shiny, as opposed to the enough that it had been at the top. Definitely as opposed to the crushing that it had been just before it spit us out on the floor. Uh-oh. Trying to go backwards in my notes here. So we found this brand new world once we reoriented ourselves and hit the floor. And we got to explore in it, we got to play in it, we got to learn, we got to apply. It was vibrant and bright and beautiful. And after a season, it kind of faded, just like the previous Above the Well had. It wasn't as bright, it wasn't as shiny. It wasn't working quite so well. We were back to enough. We have enough clothes. We have enough sunshine. We have enough food. We have enough life, I guess. It's enough. Things were working okay. It's enough. But it was so brilliant and beautiful when we first arrived that surely it could be that again, right? We can get that back. It's the same world. Why can't it be brilliant and bright and beautiful again? We can get there. So we tirelessly kept going. Kept going. Kept going. Hoping for the same brilliance as before. Hoping that it would come back, or even if it didn't, that things would keep working. I love that I'm reading your mail, Mary. Ashley says, oh boy, I can relate to this. It worked before. It'll keep working. It'll get back there. We'll get back there. It'll work. But after, let's see, that class taught us how to eliminate debt and a whole lot beyond that as far as legacy is concerned. We paid off our last debt May 3rd or 4th, 2015. Five years later in 2020, we were in the same spot we were in 2015. But this world is dull, but it's enough for 5 frickin' years. We'll keep going because it worked. For 4 years, it worked. It was bright and beautiful and brilliant for 4 years. We'll keep going. It'll come back. After 5 years of dull, it didn't come back. And so in November of 2020, by myself, on my own, without my husband making the decision with me, I quit the budget. I stepped into a new well by myself. And it was freaking scary. What if I don't do a budget? I've done a budget every month for the last 9 years. Even when I was depressed and my husband was doing it by himself, it was still getting done. The water was a comfort, but there was some fear there because it was new. And the crushing feeling in my chest came. What's going to happen if? What if? What if? I can't go back. I guess I could, but not with what I've learned. I can't go back. And then I was deposited out on the other side. A brand new, bright, and brilliant world where it's working. This is working. And then once I was in the new world, I could see the vortex, the end from the beginning. The gift that the original well had been. And that it had served its purpose and we overstayed our welcome. But it took faith to get to a point of being able to see everything in hindsight so well. So it's not until you hit that floor in that bright and brilliant new world after you've taken the leap that you can have hindsight 2020 and see the full length of the vortex for what it was worth in that vortex. When you're in it, very rarely can you see it, but you can sure feel it. Faith is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things unseen. You can feel it, but you can't see it, usually. But once you hit the floor and you get breath back in your lungs, oh, that's what that was. Okay, bright new world, let's go learn it. The void is such a smaller moment in time than the vortex. Like I said, in the void I can usually feel it. But in the vortex, I don't usually know I'm in it until I'm out of it. I'm getting better at that, so maybe I just don't recognize all of my voids. And they're all voids and they're all vortexes. I don't know for sure. But I've seen this with clients too. Like they recognize the void, and yet when I explain this concept of vortex to them, they're like, oh, okay, that makes sense. And I'm coming in right on time. This is awesome. So I want you to marinate on this concept, and I want you to think of the big vortexes that you have had in your life. Not the little voids where you're like, spinning my wheels, nothing's working, and everyone's yelling at you to trust the process. I mean the big ones, where it feels like you're gonna die. And then you come out on the other side and you can have that bird's eye view and that hindsight 2020, that, oh, that's what that was. I would love it if you would share them inside FemPower. And I want you to dig a little bit deeper. And I want you to share the woman that was at the top of the well and the woman that hit the floor. Mary says she's there right now. I believe it, babe. So I want you to share about one that is completed. So she's in one right now, and I can't wait to hear that story when it's complete. But like I said at the beginning, some stories we're in the middle of, and they're not meant to be shared yet. So Mary's going to look a little bit farther back with her bird's eye view and say, oh, that was a vortex too. I was this woman at the well, and I was this woman when I hit the floor. I would love it if you would share those stories inside of FemPower. This is energetics. And the more that you understand energetics, the less the squeeze of the vortex hurts. That's coming in March. Energetic Escort is coming in March, and Power Play is coming in March. Power Play is a micro course, it's a short program, and Energetic Escort is a long program. You can learn all of the how in the world. And until you marry it with energetics, you're going to feel like you're going nowhere fast. So I invite you to Power Play. It's currently 111, and I invite you to Energetic Escort. It's currently 333. If you jump in before Friday, you can have both for 333. So, message me if you would like the link for the bundle, or if you would like just Power Play, or if you would like just Energetic Escort. And I will see you ladies tomorrow for Module 2 of